I think it is important to see that there are many identity fault lines in India. If you believe in a secular India, it has to be a secular India. It cannot be secular according to my convenience. See, I said it's okay to say, to shout Bharat Mata Ki Jai. The Narendra Modi Sarkar, or who don't like the kind of people who have supported Narendra Modi, including me. So they will write a certain kind of review. You know, before the release of the film, I was very emotionally involved with the film, even when I read the script and while we were shooting. But you know, when the film released, I thought it would do better than what the Kashmir Files did. It was declared a sleeper hit that year. So I thought this also would be declared a sleeper hit, but I thought it'll get a bigger number to watch it, simply because this was stuff nobody knew. And there was a very big difference in this film, because the circumstances around the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri, whatever they were, and whatever the truth of it was, beyond finding the truth, there was nothing else to settle there, perhaps. So it was actually a quest for truth. That was the film. But in this case, there are Kashmiri, Pandits and others who have been displaced from Kashmir, and they continue to be, either in refugee camps, or they made a better life for themselves through struggle, and they live elsewhere in the world, and they number in hundreds of thousands. Even those numbers we just keep just completely random figures, from 60,000 families to 150,000 families. Nobody sees, it's so callous it is, this record of history, that everyone comes with numbers from 2 lakhs to 7 lakhs. So I thought this is a film where these people have not yet been, this issue has not been closed for them yet, right? I mean, there are still refugees, for instance. So I thought this film will get a more responsive audience. For that I was very sure about. But what happened is that it has become way bigger than anybody could have anticipated. There's no precedent for this, that a low budget film without song and without fights and so on, and it's really slow paced. Nobody could have imagined that it will create a response like this. And I think it's slightly unfortunate that although it is about Kashmiri Muslim militants who actually did this to unarmed people, mainly in this case Kashmiri Pandits. Okay, I cannot see it as a purely Hindu-Muslim issue. And I feel the film had been seen by both people who like the film, and even more so by people who don't like the film. I think it was kind of very, the opposition to it, somebody said there was the usual suspects, people who don't like, the usual suspects who don't like, the Narendra Modi Sarkar, or who don't like the kind of people who have supported Narendra Modi, including me. So they will write a certain kind of review, which means the Wire, the Scroll, and other right-wing, left-wing, or left of center papers will write a certain kind of review. There'll be another side that will write another kind of review maybe, but really this has been decided by people. And if you want to say all of them are communal, I think you really have a problem then to deal with this. If you label so many people communal, you have a problem. So like pointing to people, labeling them. What is all this? Yeah, fascist, right wing and all. Don't talk like that. Say what is right and wrong. Be articulate. Use simple sentences and say why you're against something. Stop labeling. It's stupid. For how long will you do this? Grown-up people should stop this actually. What is this right wing, left wing and all such a thing? The world has changed a lot. I get called. I'll tell you one. I went to there was this late night screening in a theater in Bangalore. I went and I said, I said it's okay to say to shout Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
I said because this film is about separatism too, and the point of integrity of India is important. And if there's a large population of Indians, Hindus mainly, who will imagine, who will deify Bharata, but it's against the principles of Islam, and you don't want to shout slogan. I'm okay with that also, but I'm okay with somebody shouting Bharat Mata Ki Jai. I have no problem with it. So I said to them, that's okay, but for you to say Jai Shri Ram here is actually not consistent with the point of the film. I said because we are all not necessarily Ram Bhakts. Kashmiris are essentially Shiv Bhakts. And I said these are fault lines and you should not do that. And the people, one guy started yelling, screaming, over 450 people. It was getting like kind of ugly, it was getting. See, in the Kashmir Files, I will say, crimes have been committed. Okay? Those laws, whatever, even with Kashmir having a separate constitution, those laws apply there too. Those were crimes. They should be tried for those crimes. It is a shame that you call one of the criminals, a leader of this criminal gang, to come to the highest office in India and the Prime Minister shakes hands with him. It's a problem, it is. If you don't see it as a problem, I'll tell you, you will not get reconciliation. This is what I mean. Right and wrong is clear. You cannot say there were circumstances that made me do this. It's not acceptable. I'm sorry. I cannot deny that we knew there was something wrong with Kashmir. But we didn't know the details, yes, but we should have bothered a lot more. Then this wouldn't have happened. You must see that, everybody who talks about it, leaders, the political leadership of Jammu and Kashmir at that time, starting with Dr. Farooq Abdullah, they all say that what did the governments do to bring back these people?
Right.
Ghulam Nabi Azad said, without the Kashmiri Pandit community there, Kashmir adhura hai, he said. So it's not that anybody would have been against any steps being taken to bring them back, except militants. Okay? And I think militants have done havoc to everybody, not just to Kashmiri Pandits. It was a ground to unite everybody. This should not have been a ground to divide further. It should be a ground to unite people. That opportunity has not been made available so far. And we all have to be implicated in that. So this filmmaker makes it. You can like the film fully or not at all, or or to some extent, but the public response gives you an opportunity to look into it. Even Dr. Farooq Abdullah is saying, let's have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Let us go into all the atrocities done by all sides. Right. If you feel the Indian state has done atrocities, you look into everything, identify the culprits, decide on a method of compensating them for what they have lost, for what they've suffered as well, okay, and find a way to settle the matter in our heads. Right. You cannot say, okay, that happened, we'll move on. How, they're outside, what is this? So we'll move on, it means what? At that time we believed what the left would say, and the left actually aligned with the Congress, in reporting that it was not as big a deal as people were making it. That word cowards, that the Pandits were really cowards and they ran away, without actually standing up, to it. So that makes me feel even more guilty. Right. Because I didn't know these details. Honestly, I didn't know. Even these newspaper cuttings, you see, they come from, in the movie you'll see, come really vague, odd papers.
Yeah.
There's no consistent, I hate to use that word, everyone uses it now, there's no consistent storytelling of it, what they use narrative, they say, no.
Yeah.
There was no consistent story built on what happened at Kashmir.
Right.
So, all those are like factors that, that explain why we didn't do it. But if anybody prides himself as a journalist, we should have cared a little more. We didn't. There is a scope for dialogue. Actually, that's the only scope that is there. We can all talk to each other. That's the scope that is there. If you label each other, then brute majority will win. That is my conclusion on it. And majority is not numbers. 35% is majority in India.